Hello, amazing parents and caretakers, and welcome to the Pumped Up Parenting Podcast. I'm your family empowerment coach, Celia Kibler. I'm a mom of a blended family of 5 kids. I'm a grandma of 9 kids, an author, a teacher, a speaker, and a consultant with over 40 years of training and real-life parenting experience. I'm here to offer you practical, doable tips, strategies, and techniques that will pump up your parenting skills and create peace, love, and laughter throughout your family. In addition, I'll be interviewing some great humans that are on a mission to make your life a better, happier, and healthier life. So let's not waste any time and get started with the next episode of the Pumped Up Parenting Podcast. Thanks for listening.
Welcome to the International Day of Calm Summit.
Raj,
Celia, hello.
how are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for welcoming me here. I'm so happy, delighted to be a part of this, which you've created. So far, it's been very powerful. And so I'm excited to be a part of this.
Well, I'm grateful you are. I'm very grateful you are. Wait, again, Raj and I met I don't know, a couple years ago, I guess.
Yeah,
And
maybe 2 years ago.
it is, I will tell you, the blessing of Zoom and places like that, that we are able to meet people from all walks of life, all around the world. And it really saved connection, saved sanity during COVID because we were able to connect and meet people. So, and didn't keep us like stuck in our houses. But before we let Raj talk about confidence, I just want to tell you a little bit about him because he is a pretty fabulous human. Raj is a filmmaker, professor, and confidence coach with a passion for storytelling and personal transformation. With over 2 decades of experience in the creative industry, he has directed films, taught screenwriting, and helped countless individuals craft compelling narratives both in their work and their lives. Having overcome immense personal adversity, including multiple spinal surgeries and struggles with self-esteem, Raj now empowers career-driven women to break through self-doubt, build unshakable confidence, and step into their full potential. His coaching blends storytelling, psychology, and leadership strategies to help clients communicate with impact and achieve success. Raj is going to be talking about the confidence to create calm, how self-worth shapes a peaceful world. Welcome, Raj.
Well, thank you. So my most important client is 5 years old. And I learn from her every single day as much as I try to teach her. I have a daughter named Zara. She's my best friend and motivates me on a daily basis. So a couple of days ago, we were talking, and there's a kid in her pre-K class that has a speech impediment. And she said she didn't want to play with him, and the other kids, they have a little clique already in pre-K, and they were kind of alienating him because he talked weird. She's like, Dad, I don't understand what he's saying. He's rude, and I don't like it. And I said, Zara, what's wrong with him? He's like, well, he doesn't speak right. Well, I found out that this child has a speech impediment and just has difficulty communicating. So I told Zara, look, we all have some flaws. We all have things about ourselves that don't work quite right. And I had a lot of those when I was younger, and I'll go into that. And I said, instead of pushing him away, try to find the things in him that might be different, positive. Don't look at what's wrong with him that he can't speak properly. Look at the things that he can do. And I taught her that, I said, we always talk about how smart kids are. You got to read, you got to do math, you got to be artistic, you got to be athletic. But empathy and kindness are like superpowers. And I said, Zara, you have to be empathetic and kindness because that will make me as proud as all of your other achievements. So today, when I was taking to her school, she said, Dad, this kid that day said a word the right way. And I told him, good job. And I told the teacher that he said the word the right way. And the teacher was very happy. And she said, empathy, right? Well, you shouldn't know how to say it. I said, yeah, empathy, when you care about someone else. And she said, Dad, we're on the same page. So I really think that's important because growing up, I had a spinal disorder. And from a young age, I felt broken. I felt not enough. I felt I was kind of like a robot running low on batteries, not really functioning properly. And all I wanted to do was fit in. I wanted to blend in. I wanted to be the same as everyone else. But instead, I felt flawed and always wanted to be fixed. And I kept looking at all the things that I couldn't do. I couldn't run. I wasn't athletic. Gym class was a nightmare. I just was not physically capable. My right hand didn't work a certain way. And I just was so focused on my own inability to do things, I ignored what I call the seeds of potential. We all have things that we're good at, that we are special in, but so many times we overlook that because we're so focused on the things that we can't do, the things that we wish we could do. And I was the same way. Multiple surgeries, physical therapy, this kind of, let's try this, let's try this. I felt that if I fix myself, my life would be better. But then when I really had that resolution of, I had to shift my perspective. I had to rewrite my narrative. And that's what I teach my clients and people that I work with, that we all make a story about ourselves of who we are, what we can do, our strengths and our weaknesses. And so many times when that story of us is focused on the negative, it really brings us down. It brings our self-worth down. And when I shifted my perspective and opened this hand that had my seeds of potential, my creativity, my ability to write, my ability to connect with people, my empathy for others, all of a sudden my life started to change. Instead of feeling so flawed and broken, I started to feel empowered. And I started to feel better about myself, and the world opened up. And I realized for so many years, I had missed so many opportunities because when an opportunity came my way, I would just shy away from it. I didn't want to go to that thing. I didn't want to be seen this way. Oh, what if they see me walk? What if, they judge me? And I was so afraid of being judged for being different and broken. I was doing myself a disservice because I was saying no to so many things. And once I embraced the things that I was good at and really nurtured those seeds, watered those seeds, spent time with those seeds, they flourished and new doors of opportunity opened up. And I could actually then, be empathetic because it's really hard for us to care about someone else or worry about someone else when we're so stuck in our own self-worth that's low and broken. And so when I'm working with clients, and for the last 2 years since I met Celia, I've been helping couples. I've been doing couples coaching, and they blame each other, and there's a lot of dysfunction in these relationships. And then when we really break it down, boil it down, the individuals are suffering with their own self-esteem issues. They are bringing their own brokenness into the relationship, and the symptomatic issues of what they're going through is surfacing in the relationship and causing all this pain, which they blame on the other person. But actually, once they start to heal themselves and empower their own personal narrative, things start to change. There's been so much research that shows that self-esteem, low self-esteem, is directly correlated to aggression and negativity and hostility. So when we feel low about ourselves and our self-esteem is low, we're putting negative energy into the world. We are the source of negative influences and forces, and we might not be treating other people the way we should. And so what I really feel is important is we got to first reframe our personal narratives, dig into adversities and things we've been through. I feel a lot of people think, we all have struggles in our lives and we just have to move past them, right? Get over your adversity, right? Get over your problems. But I think it's important to actually dig into those adversities and problems and think about, what did you learn? What did you gain from those issues? For me, I've been through spinal surgeries and physical therapy and lots of pain and trauma. And what did I gain from that? One, it's given me a sense of being not jostled when things in life happen, right? When something minor happens, it doesn't shake me up because I've been through some real hardship. It's built my sense of humor because so much of my life I had to learn to laugh at how ridiculous life is or what I could not do. I remember when I was laying in the hospital after one of my surgeries, I couldn't laugh because I just couldn't move my neck, and I would make jokes, and I would make the nurses laugh. That was like I was testing my stand-up routine, but it was a lay down routine because I was laying in bed. And they said, how could you find this funny? And I said, well, if I don't find this funny, it's just going to be worse. At least if I can make you laugh, I'm bringing some joy, and it makes me happy that I can make you laugh. It's also taught me how to differently do different things in my life. There's so many simple things in life that I can't really do because certain things in my body don't work. And I've always had to figure out alternate ways to do simple tasks, and I think that's really made me kind of MacGyver in everyday life. If you guys may not know MacGyver, but yeah. So because of the things I've been through, it's given me these tools. It's also given me a real boost in my writing because a lot of my characters are flawed or somewhat um, different, and they have to get through and they have to succeed and triumph. So I always tell folks, what have you been through in life that you think was all negative, that was all bad? Look into that because you've gained skills and tools and insights that you could leverage in other parts of your life. And when you've been through these hardships, it teaches you empathy. And I think because of what I've learned, it helps me to walk in someone else's shoes and and really understand what they're going through. And because I've now really taken hold of what makes me unique and different, it builds my confidence up, right? Another thing that I want to touch on is the fixed versus a growth mindset. A lot of times we put labels on ourselves, right? I'm short, I'm this, I'm that. And it really puts us in a fixed mindset, which we feel crippled by. And I think it's important to look at life through a growth mindset, that we are not one thing, we are not one label. We have the ability to grow and change and transcend situations that we might be in and get to a better place. And that true too adds to confidence because when you know by through action you could change and grow, it's helping your self-esteem. And when you help your self-esteem, your self-worth, it all builds towards growing confidence. And confidence also is not a fixed thing. It's not like you're born, oh, I'm confident. Oh, I'm not confident. You could build it with every little action you take. I mean, you see small beads of success, it builds your confidence. It's like I remember a while ago, I used this example. I was making a bead necklace with my daughter in pre-K. And I'll tell you, my confidence level of building the bead necklace is very low because I, I was not doing a good job. But I felt that confidence is like that bead necklace. Every little action you take and every little moment of success you get, it's like a bead that you're putting on. It doesn't happen overnight, but as you take action and do things that maybe you're slightly uncomfortable in, you add a bead and slowly your confidence grows. And when you become confident, when you're in situations that might rile you up or shake you up, I feel like confidence is the trunk. It gives you stability. So instead of swaying crazy emotionally, it gives you some foundation to be firm, like a tree, strong tree, so that you don't become reactionary and you don't yell, you don't scream, you don't get agitated, right? And that's what I want to teach my daughter because as she grows up, if I could teach her the importance of self-worth and her own belief in her abilities, it's going to make her more confident. And by being more confident, she could put more positive energy into the world, right? So much of, I think, anger and hatred, it's not out of about people just wanting to be spiteful or evil. It's because they themselves are hurt, right? I think you said this, Celia, hurt people, right? And a lot of that hurt comes from their personal narrative and how they feel about themselves. And if we could help sculpt people's self-perception and help them find those nuggets, those seeds of potential, say, hey, look at these aspects of your life that have so much promise, right? You have worth. Once they feel worthy and belief in their own self-worth, now all of a sudden they're going to put more positivity into the world.
Yes. And there are so many little notes I wrote down to talk about because there's so many important things. Feeling worthy is is huge because when a child is raised under aggression, when a child is raised with yelling, with hitting, you eliminate that child's self-worth. They do not feel worthy. If you guys were here when we showed Anita, do you think anything about her feels like she's worthy of feeling good about herself, of being happy, of, thinking she's, a productive member of society, that she has worth? No, it's all destroyed. And and I love, the talk about confidence. You made such an I love the beating scenario because so many people think, well, I can't do that. I don't have confidence. And they think the confidence comes before the action. But the truth is, the
Yeah,
action creates the confidence. So if
yeah,
you don't have the confidence to do something, you don't have the confidence to speak to somebody, spend 1 minute and speak into a camera. You don't have the confidence to tell your partner something, write a letter, get all your thoughts out, organize them, and say, can we just sit down and talk about one thing? Don't like bombard them with like all the problems of the world. And that step by step, if you take the first step, You're the first step into confidence. People that like look at speakers and they're like, oh, they're so dynamic. They didn't start dynamic. They started like blobs and like speaking like in monotone, and being anxious and being nervous. And all those things are normal. It's through those steps of success that build the confidence. And even when you fail, I always say, what's the opposite of success? Everybody, if I ask you now to put in the comments, you're going to write failure, but it's actually not failure. Failure
Yeah.
and mistakes are parts of success. The opposite of success is giving up. You give up, you're like, "Oh, I can't do this, forget it." No success. Did you want to say something as I'm
Yeah,
rambling?
and what I want to reflect on something. Sometimes people think, oh, he's so confident, right? Oh, she's so confident. Well, they're confident in this frame that you see them in, right? But I bet you there's other parts of their life they're not confident in. We all have some aspect of our life that we are really confident in, right? Someone who's really talented at making bead bracelets are super confident in that activity, but they may not be in other parts. And I think what we have to do is tap into the parts of our life that we are confident and say, look, I can do this. Okay, if I could do this, let me take a baby step over here and see if I could get a little bit more confident, a little bit more confident. I remember one of my biggest things that I found to be a struggle is walking in front of groups of people. Because I felt like if I had to get up, if I was, at some public event and I had to walk in front, everyone would just watch me walk. And I don't walk normally. And so many times I would just not raise my hand, not take that step, not do that, and just be invisible. And then I really decided I'm gonna take this step. I'm gonna do it. And in several situations, I did get up. I took a few steps. I walked a little bit. I walked a bit. And as I did it, yeah, I was nervous. I felt butterflies in my stomach and I hated it. But when I got to where I needed to get to, no one else knew it. But I was like, wow, I climbed a mountain. It might have been 4 steps, but that was my Mount Everest.
And
And
now you're a college professor and you
yes,
walk in front of students all the time.
yeah, I've spoken in front of big groups and festivals and whatnot. And now I'm able to do it. But it's like muscle. It's like going to the gym. You've got to work on it. And when you work on it, it will improve. It will. I think that's the importance of knowing that it is possible. You must believe and have a growth mindset that you can build your confidence. And there's many different tools and tactics and strategies that you can do. And truly, I think confidence is like the greatest superpower. Because when you're confident, I mean, there's moments when I'm before a class where I have to teach a class, something happened in my personal life and I wasn't prepared. Like I just frazzled. And there's a moment of, oh my gosh. But then I click into, you know what? I've done this a million times. I'm going to open my mouth and stuff's going to come out and it's going to be all right. So it's the belief that I can do it because I have done it.
It's that possibility. It's that
Yes.
believing it's possible, believing there is a chance that this could work out. And what's great about that scenario, too, if you relate it to children like your daughter, and, you know, we often, as humans, for ourselves, for our children, we focus on the negative. We're busy focusing on what's not going right. My kids are always fighting. My kids are always doing things, and we're not focusing on what is going right. Kids, for the most part, do things right, and so do you. You know, I don't know if you were here, and I'm going to bring up Anita's thing again, but I don't remember
Yeah,
if
I
you were
was
there
here.
earlier and you saw, you did see it,
Yeah, I
when she
did
was
see it.
talking about burning up that pot. So she had burned up a pot because she went into her craft room and she forgot. She went back, she forgot to set the alarm, and it didn't catch on fire. It just, pots burn. And the whole conversation around, have you ever done that before? No. And yet that pot, like in her mind, made her a horrible cook, made her insecure, incapable, when she's proven for almost 80 years. She got me burning a pot. My kids would just be like, that's why you don't go in the kitchen, Mom. But actually, I just burned my dinner only just days ago. But but don't tell my kids, but now it's live and they're going to find out because they're only going to make fun of me. But that's okay. It's okay. I can deal with it. But anyway, the noticing what is going right is huge because so often what's going wrong, like you say, is minimal, in the grand scheme of things. I will ask a client, so what did your child do right today? And they're like, honestly, I can't think of one thing. Literally, that's what they'll say. And I'll be like, okay, did they get up this morning? Yes. Were they on time? Yes. Did they brush their teeth? Yes. Did they get dressed? Yes. Were they on time? Yes. Did they eat breakfast? Yes. Did they leave for school? Yes. Were they on time? Yes. I'm like, bing, 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 bing. How many
Yeah.
things were that? That was like a whole bunch of things.
Yeah.
And we haven't even, and we just left for school. And they did everything right. And you said nothing to them. You were so focused on what went wrong that the 99% of what went right is thrown out the window. And that's when kids feel like I do
They're
nothing
not
right. I do
worthy.
everything wrong
Yeah.
because no one takes notice of what's going right. And you do it to yourselves, just like Anita did. You beat yourself up because you're not perfect. Well, welcome to being human.
Yeah.
Nobody's perfect.
I mean, I'll do a quick example. When I get my student evaluations at the end of the semester, there'll be one student always who just hated the class, just hated it. That's the one that sticks, right? That's the one that sticks. I have to keep telling myself, no, no. What about all these other people that the problem is the ones that are happy usually don't write anything. They're just next, next, next. But it's the one person that has a problem that really decides to go in and fill out the little
It's like
box,
an
right?
essay.
Exactly, exactly. And I think it's common nature. I think it goes psychologically, it goes back to prehistoric days that we are always tuned out, tuned into danger, right? What is going to threaten us? And our brains are just wired to focus on the negativity as a defense mechanism. And we have to work at being positive minded. A lot of times, what I'll do when I wake up in the morning is before I get out of bed or check my phone, I'll just lay down in bed and just kind of think about five good things that are happening, that happened yesterday, that are happening today. Maybe a good interaction I had, maybe some positive movement I made on a project, just to kind of remind myself, hey, you know what? Okay, these are five things. And it really helps me to kind of begin the day on a positive note because, like you said, we do think about the burn pots, right? And we should think about all the other stuff. No, we didn't
Right.
burn all these other pots. Why are we thinking about this one? And I think that's something that I encourage my clients to do, and I do for myself. And I want to, I think Zara's too young to wake up at 5 years old and try to list out five things that she's positive. But as she grows up,
Right.
I'm always going to be encouraging her, focus on the positives, focus on your talents, focus on the good things that are going on. And that's really going to shape your how you interact with the world. And yeah,
You can do what I call the morning three, and I offer my clients and tranquility tribers. Write the end of these three sentences. The first is, I am so grateful for, because gratitude, you know, You want to build appreciation? Be grateful. And do this as a family. I am so grateful for because a child's going to be like, I'm grateful for my puppy, I'm grateful for my mommy, my daddy, my stuffed animal, my little bear, they're going to. But the reason I say do it as a family because your gratitude will grow and that will help their gratitude grow. I'm grateful for my dirty dishes because it means I have food to eat. I'm
Mhm.
grateful for my laundry because it means I have clothes to wear. It's annoying, yes, but there are a lot of a lot of families that would kill to have laundry because
Mhm.
they don't have clothes to wear. They don't have food to eat. You
Yeah.
have to see the bigger picture. First sentence, I am so grateful for. Finish that sentence. Second sentence, I am, followed by only positive statements, not I am so stupid. I'm such an idiot. Those things we say to ourselves when we make a
Yeah.
mistake. How can I be such a moron? No, I am grateful. I am creative. I'm friendly. I am kind. I am going to ace my biology test. I am whatever. I'm determined. Whatever it is, two most powerful words in the English language. I am, because when you tell yourself something, your brain starts proving it true. I am confident.
Mhm.
Last one, wouldn't it be awesome if? And why is that one so awesome? Because you get to dream, you get to put it out there. Zara might be like, wouldn't it be awesome if we go to Disneyland next month? That
Yeah.
would be awesome. We're not going, but that would be awesome.
It's good to aim high.
It's good, right? Instead, we're going to the park down the street.
Yeah, yeah,
But feel free to call it Disney.
yeah.
But that's the thing. And when your kids say things, it's funny stuff they say. Do not ridicule it. Write down whatever they say it. Wouldn't it be awesome if my hair was purple? That would be awesome. Again, maybe not this week, but when my daughter walked in at 16 years old and said she wanted her belly button pierced, wouldn't that be awesome? That would be awesome. And I said, that would be great, honey. But you know what? Not until you're 18. And then you can get your belly button pierced. And when she was 18, she turned that birthday, that morning, she walked in and said, Mom, come on, we're going to get my belly button pierced. I'm like, what? You remember that? Did I agree to this somehow? Anyway, going off topic. But one other thing I want to mention is many of my parents get a scoreboard that they use for their kids. And kids earn points for doing stuff right. And you'll get many parenting coaches, they'll say, no, you're bribing them. You don't need that. You shouldn't do that with kids, blah, 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 whatever they say that they're incorrect about. Because, of course, I wrote the manual. So, but what parents don't realize, and I explain to them, is that scoreboard is more for them than the kids. Because that is my way of indirectly training them to notice the positive. Start seeing what your kids are doing right. The points don't matter as much as them turning around the way they see the world.
Yeah. I
Awkward
agree.
silence.
Well, I was agreeing with you, and
Octopus.
I was thinking to myself, that's a good point. It's not for the kid, it's for the parents.
Right. See, I
Yeah,
had you thinking. It's good
yeah,
when we have our thinking. Laughter, guys, the best medicine. You want to calm down? Nobody, know what Alan Alda says? Jenny, of you know who Alan Alda is. He hasn't died or anything. But MASH was like a great show in the 70s. And he was like the lead character. And he's hysterical and he's great. And he's done a lot of other shows since. Um, but he has a quote that when people are laughing, nobody's killing each other. And funny as that is, it's true. If you're having
yeah,
a good time, you're
yeah,
not stressing out, you're not violent, you're not raging, it's a great stress reducer. So laugh with yourself. And as a laughter yoga leader, I will tell you that fake laughter is just as good as real laughter. to your brain, creates the same dopamine, all of that. So if you want to lift your spirits, start laughing. Your kids will laugh with you or at you. My
Yeah.
exams, they laugh at me, but but they're still laughing, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. I think one of the greatest joys is making people laugh. I mean, I'm secretly a closeted stand-up comedian. I've never actually done it, but one of these days, it's gonna happen.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Hold on 1 second, because talk more. Talk more.
Okay. Ask me a question.
Okay. So, oh wait, I have something to ask you on. Of course, I can't read my writing. Oh, so talk more about what thing in your brain, like what would you say switched your brain from thinking, I'm a mess, I'm embarrassed to be out in public, somebody's going to talk, like when I used to wear my brace, I'm so sick of adults asking me what happened and was I in a car accident. What made you all of a sudden say, you know what, I'm looking at this the wrong way?
Yeah, and
Did an event happen? Like what triggered that thought?
I don't think it was a singular moment. I think I just got to a point where 10 years ago I had my fourth spinal surgery. And after that surgery, I went into the surgery with a lot of hope and a lot of hope for dramatic changes. And the surgeon told me ahead of time, Raj, the surgery is not going to make much of a change. It's just going to prevent it from getting worse, your condition from getting worse. And I said, yeah, yeah, yeah. But secretly, I held hope, right? And after the surgery, nothing changed. I had to go through 6 months of recuperation and all that stuff, but my condition had not changed, and I was depressed. I was really hoping that this was going to make some change, and it didn't. And I just felt like all hope was lost. I was like, this was my last chance of. And he said, this is it. There's nothing else surgically that can be done. And one of my favorite movies is Shawshank Redemption, and there's a
Such a
famous
good movie.
line in Shawshank where he says, "Hope is a dangerous thing,"
Yeah.
and in a way, I agree with that because what hope does is it puts control outside of you. You're just hoping for something. It is kind of disempowers you from your own actions because you're just waiting for something to happen. And I think during that period, during those months, I had to really like snap out of this hope. I was like, it's not going to get better physically for me. I had to make that realization. I was not physically going to get better. So I can't keep trying to fix myself. I have to now take my car was like a used car. It had non-factory parts. It clanked and clanked, and I could keep trying to fix this car, or I could just get in it and just drive along, just clunking along. At least I'm moving forward. And that's kind of, I think, when I decided, okay, I cannot hope for things to change or fix myself. And I decided to, okay, really lean into what can I do? And so it wasn't a overnight thing. It took some time to swing the pendulum the other way. And once I gave up the hope of trying to change something that I couldn't, and I feel like so many of our lives, we spend so much time focused on trying to change something we have no power over, and we ignore the things that we do have power over. And what I did was I put my energy into the aspects of life that I could change, right? I could take these small actions and do things that I was afraid to do. I could show up. I could lean more into who I was. I'll tell you one quickly. I met my wife almost 7, 8 years ago, I think now. Met her online, and she was from Sri Lanka on the other side of the planet. And up until this time, every relationship I've had, I've kind of felt such inadequacy because of my physical state, and I would hide it. I would I would talk to them. A lot of them I would, we would start the relationship online, and then I wouldn't talk about my issues. And then it was always that moment when I had to actually meet them for the first time, this moment of, oh, the act is up. Now they're going to see that, I'm not as normal looking as I do when I'm on a Zoom screen. But when I met my wife and I felt like I had this transformation, within the first call, I told her several things. I said, one, I'm not Hindu because she's very Hindu and I'm Catholic. And I told her I was older because I'm some years older. And I told her about my disability. I told her exactly what was wrong, what I couldn't do, and exactly the problems that I deal with. And now, years later, we're married and have this amazing daughter. She told me recently that was one of the most fundamental reasons why she was immediately uh, engaged by me, that I was not afraid to be vulnerable. You know, a lot of people think that vulnerability is a sign of weakness, but it's actually the opposite. Vulnerability is a sign of strength because you're willing to expose something about yourself that you feel weak about, something that you are not as confident in. You have to be confident to be vulnerable. And being vulnerable, it shows a sense of honesty. And that's what really, she said, drew her in. That I wasn't trying to hide or trying to put on a show or have any falsities. I just said, hey, this is me. This is what you get. If you want
Right.
it, cool. If not, no. And that's when I really felt that I had kind of transitioned from where I used to be, hiding myself because of my perceived brokenness, to saying, this is it. I'm a great package. I come with certain, oddities, and I'm kind of screwed, literally.
Technically, right,
But
literally.
but and I was fully confident to just speak on that. And I think if we can all be confident, be vulnerable, be honest with each other, it enables immediate uh, connections, right? Because we all have something that we feel are our weaknesses. And when you expose those and you share those honestly, it lets the guard down from the other person. They're like, oh, you're human, just like me. There's
Right,
something that you're vulnerable. There's something about you have some weaknesses and flaws. Guess what? So do I. Now
right.
let's connect. Now let's bond.
That's so it's so important. And
Yeah.
it's it's probably a pretty big eye opener for most people. You just and it goes back to focus on what's right about you. And is what's wrong about you really wrong? It's what makes you you.
Yeah.
I mean, we all have, our little, it's like when they talk about people with disabilities, they're not really disabilities. They're different abilities. And, people with special needs, we're all special.
Yeah.
They're not, everyone's special and everyone has stuff.
Yeah.
And
And
that's what
that
makes us unique.
And one of the things is that we always feel like that the spotlight is on us. Oh, they're gonna see the way I talk, see the way I look, see the way I walk. No one cares. Everyone is worried about their own
They're
stuff,
more worried about themselves than you.
right?
Right.
So
It's
no
our
one,
perception.
yeah. So no one is focused on your flaws as you think they are because they're focused on their own. So let's all be calm and
Exactly.
let's
So just let's all
relax.
calm down.
Yeah,
Okay.
let's all
Let's
calm
take a
down.
breath.
Yes.
So let's just relax. And with that, Raj, would you just give our listeners like how they can reach out to you? I don't know if there are any questions. I didn't see any questions.
Yeah,
but
I don't know if the chat goes to everyone, but my
it doesn't go to
email is
everybody.
rise
Oh,
at
there we go.
rajcoaching.com. My website is rajcoaching.com, and my Instagram is rise.with.raj. So
A
yeah,
tongue
I'd love to
twister.
hear
And
from
if
you
you
if
can say it
anyone.
10 times real fast, you get, 10% off. Of course, that's not really true. So don't hold him to that. I just
So
made that up.
rise at
Well,
rajcoaching.com.
thank you, Raj, for being here. It was, a really enlightening talk and confidence. I think we all need confidence and it comes from all different sources.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate the wisdom that you shared today and your
Well, thank you so
vulnerability.
much for having me, and I love every conversation we have.
Oh, me too. Me too. And thank you, thank you, thank you.
Okay, bye.
Bye bye. Thank you for listening to the Pumped Up Parenting Podcast. If this episode was helpful to you, please share it with a friend and leave us a review that will help others. Wonder why kids don't come with a manual? Well, wonder no more, because I wrote you one, and it's just won a wonderful Mom's Choice Award. Go to celiasbooks.com and buy your copy of Raising Happy Toddlers, as well as my children's books. I appreciate you being part of my mission to help 10 million parents stop yelling at their kids. Please be intentional and hug on those kids of yours. See you at the next episode.